Organize Me Radio, episode 72, Mind Over Matter, Organizing Your Mindset. I'm Naeemah Ford Goldson. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Organize Me Radio. I'm Naeemah Ford Goldson, and today's guest is an author and a coach, and he hosts the Help Myself podcast. Please welcome Jon Singletary. Welcome, Jon.
Put the applaud in there. Yay! How are you? Thank you so much for having me. I'm really pleased and honored to be here. So it's an honor. It's a huge honor. So thank you.
I'm excited to talk to another podcast host, first of all, okay?
Hey, you know what I'm saying? The struggle is real.
It really is. It is. But I would love to learn a little bit more about you. So tell us about you. What made you decide to get into coaching? And tell us a little bit about your podcast.
Sure. So I am a Air Force veteran. So I did 23 years in the Air Force. And the coaching part happened because they would say I was a trainer, I led teams, and they always said, there's something different about the way you train us. You always pulled the best out of us so we could do the job. And so people were calling me a coach before. And so as I started preparing for retirement, they're going through these classes and they're offering executive coaching certificates and, all of this. And everybody kept telling me I needed to coach. And then people started telling me, well, you already are a coach. We're just not paying you for it. So that is how I was born. Just using a lot of my experiences from my military career and just my travels in life. So I'm really passionate. Even, I don't know if I should say this, but my therapist even said, you should be a coach. And I'm like, should you be saying that?
Well, a therapist and a coach, they're different, similar, but they're still different.
They're absolutely different. Listen, I'm not a therapist. I'm good with school.
So what is your coaching specialty?
Okay, that's a great question because, a lot of people come into life coaching has gotten popular, relationship coaching. I wanted to be a little more specific, something that had different metrics that were, I personally prefer coaches that have done the thing that they're coaching you to do. So I wanted to get into executive coaching, interview coaching. And that's what I started with, was preparing people to do professional interviews, get ready for C-suite level leadership, vice president, that level of leadership. So I started there. And then I started getting into some mindset stuff. And a lot of people think mindset is spooky, but I'm like, no, it's practical. I'm not trying to get in your brain and make some magic happen. There's some really practical ways that we can change our mindsets. And so my focus is really on mindset and pointing people towards their greatest path of success with their personal skill set and their personal disposition.
So you mentioned that C-suite level executives. Is that your client? Do you coach all types of people? Are you coaching entrepreneurs? Who's your client?
I'm gonna be honest. It would be nice to get more C-suite because they pay good. No, but no, I enjoy working with young people. I'm really passionate about mentoring. So obviously the coaching for younger folks is more of a mentoring and it's less on a pay level. And that's more something I'm just passionate about. A lot of military, obviously my connections, a lot of them are military, some entrepreneurs, and a few, people that needed me to help guide them through a leadership process. Because I know when I came into senior leadership for the Air Force, I hired a coach because I was like, I know I have talents and accomplishments, but I don't know if I'm ready to lead this huge organization in the Air Force. So I need somebody to kind of help me. And so that's what kind of made me get in there, realizing, the steps that you can do to help a leader be a better leader.
Okay, that's great. We need stuff like that. I feel like a lot of times being a leader, I'm a leader myself. You're clearly
Absolutely.
a leader, you don't know everything and you need motivation as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times people think that if you're a leader, oh, you have it together. Oh, I don't know how you do this, and that. Meanwhile, I'm like a basket case, like trying to figure out, oh my God, how do I do this? I got to do this. I have to figure this out. How do
You can get people to understand that we walk around as the leaders and they're looking at us like, you're the leader. I woke up, I was just John this morning. John, I need a haircut. Oh my God, my kid got an appointment. I'm walking around just as me, and y'all looking at me like, oh, that's the chief. He's this, he's that.
Right.
And if you knew what was going on in my head,
Oh
so
my goodness.
absolutely.
So, that's a good segue into we're talking about organizing your mindset
Right.
today, right? How in the
Yes.
world do we do that? How can I not be a basket case?
Listen, and that was the part. So, just a really quick story. I was listening to some of your podcasts, and there was one you were in the play with them. What was it, a Raisin in the Sun, or what?
Yeah, yeah, a
Yeah,
raisin in the sun.
you were in the play. He was talking about his accomplishments, and I was like, yo, he was in the room with Martin Sheen and all
Yeah.
these people. I don't know if I deserve, but then I
Oh,
had to remember some of the things I've accomplished. So during the NFL playoffs, you'll see an Air Force commercial on there. And then I had to remember I did that. I built the team. The contract, everything we did. So I'm
okay.
like, I deserve to be in these rooms
All
too. And I
right.
think organizing your mind, one, it's important to understand that you deserve to be in rooms, whether you have already created or you're in the process of creating. So the first thing to organize your mind, I tell people, give yourself space for grace, because we judge, and we judge ourselves really difficultly. Like, for instance, I'm not a singer, right? But I was working with a speech coach because the speaker, I need my voice. And the speech coach said, you have a bad opinion of your own voice. And I said, this is true. A lot of people do. And she said, well, imagine your voice is an instrument, which it is. She said, you can't play the guitar, but do you judge the guitar because you can't make the sounds out of it? And I'm like, no, I don't judge the guitar because I know somebody else can make it sound good. And she said, it's the same with your voice. It's an instrument. You just need to learn how to play it and give it grace. And so, space for grace, a lot of times we put a lot of judgment on our thoughts. So if we give ourselves that space for grace, that's the first. Now we can effectively organize when we take the judgment off of it. So then we have to sort without judgment. So, like, for instance, one of the examples I like to use is clean clothes and dirty clothes. If I wear my favorite outfit after I've worn it, it's dirty, but it's still my favorite outfit. So just because it's dirty doesn't mean that it's bad. So I don't throw it away because it's dirty. I put it in the appropriate place for dirty clothes, and I put the clean clothes in the appropriate. So we have to sort our thoughts. We have to sort how we feel. Like, sometimes we'll say a thought is bad, like jealousy, for instance. We'll say jealousy is a weak emotion. It's not. It's just that we have to sort it correctly. And when we sort it, we've got to understand how to organize it. Like, my jealousy is bad if I point it towards you because I'm jealous because you got the orange popping and your hair is red. But if I point it towards me and say, hey, man, next time wear orange because you like orange, then I sort it in the right place. Then once you sort things, you have to understand your own organization process. And that's really important. Like, is it something that I can work on now? Is it something that I have to wait until later? Is it something that is in my power to change? Or is it something that's in somebody else's power to affect the change? So you have to understand and these are like little buckets. So my mind, these thoughts, these things I want to do, these things I want to accomplish, these things that are in my heart, that are strong desires. What bucket am I putting them in? Am I putting it into to do now, to later, to ask for help, to outsource? And so you figure out where you need to put these thoughts once you've taken judgment off of them, once you've given yourself grace, once you've understood the organization process. Then my task starter. I always encourage people to go for quick wins. What is the thing that you can accomplish the quickest and the easiest, or both? And once you get to something you can accomplish quickly, that's how you kill analysis paralysis and organizing your mind. One of the examples I use is when I'm cleaning my apartment. I do usually have people to come in, but obviously I have to clean in between. And when I have to clean it, the quickest thing to do is to take out the trash and change the beds. And then everything seems to fall into place after I do that. But those are two quick things that I can do. Get those done in about 10 minutes. And once I do that, now I can get to all the other difficult stuff. And with our mind, if we can do the quick things and create that space, then we can get over to the bigger pieces, because not only have we gotten a quick win, but now we have confidence. And that's the important thing to organizing your mind. A lot of times we just sit back and we let our mind run rampant. But when we have the confidence to attack even those uncomfortable thoughts and those uncomfortable things, then we're able to really get our mind in a place where we're in control. They say a lot of times, that if you clean your space, it'll clean your mind. And I feel like a lot of times it can work the other way around. If you get your mind going, your space suddenly needs to be a different way so that you can continue to establish those changed mind processes. But then the most important thing is you got to schedule periodic check ins for progress and to stay on track. I mean, I might one Saturday take over the world, but by Wednesday, I'm back in a funk. So
Mm.
periodically, we got to be checking progress. I'm big on accountability partners. It could be your friend, it could be your mama, it could be your sister, whoever, a coach, but whatever you need is to stay accountable to a process. And it needs to be periodic. You can't say, okay, I'm gonna check back in 6 months, especially if your mind is disorganized and it's been perpetually disorganized. You need to be checking in every couple of weeks at the minimum. And then you can start, once you start to have success and start to get into a pattern, then you can let it flow a little further on. So didn't mean to talk so long. You just asked me a simple question.
But I think the thought of, doing a check in ever so often, that's a great idea. And that's not something that I've ever thought about because just this week, Monday, I was great. I was, getting my task completed and all that stuff. Tuesday, I was in a funk, like Tuesday is like, why am I doing this? I don't want to be here. Like
Must have been
why?
something in the air Tuesday.
Maybe the energy, maybe the moon. I don't know.
There you go. There you go.
But like Monday, I was so motivated. Tuesday, I wasn't. So, why is mindset important when it comes to, completing our tasks and accomplishing our goals?
I mean, you said it best. When it comes to mindset, there are times when you just don't feel like it, and you really have to find a way to get out of that because consistency is key. And so, one of the biggest things to consistency is you have to. So, I have a product that I put out on my socials called the Monday Morning Mind Hack. And I want to give people mind hacks to reconsider. One of the things I love is I don't got to do it. I get to do it. And that's not mine. I stole that from somebody, but like if I'm upset because I'm stressed over being a single parent, but then I think about it, I get to be a single parent. I get to be involved in this child's life. I get to be able to handle this. And I'm blessed to be able to handle it because I have the resources to. Like, this isn't an issue where somebody needs to help me. I can. I just have to change my mind. How do I feel like, I got to get up and get people ready for school and this, that, or I get the opportunity to get up and send my son to school with a positive mindset, feeling good, looking good, smelling good, all that good stuff. So mindset is important because when you're able to crack the mind, scientists say we don't use all of our mind. I'm not a scientist. I will just take their word for it. But we do know that under certain stresses and certain pressures, for instance, if my space was disorganized and I was about to have company in 30 minutes, I promise you I would figure out a way to get my space looking good in 25 minutes
Oh
to
yeah.
look. But if I sit around and say, man, it's going to take me a couple of days, it'll take me a couple of days. It's all about the mindset. Once you decide to do a thing, it's just like the pathways open up. So mindset is incredibly important.
Okay, so for the people who are feeling stuck, okay,
Mhm.
I have to confess, last year, 2023, wasn't the best year for me. I was stuck the majority of the year. I had some health issues. I had to, deal with some health issues, surgery, things like that. I'm good now. But there were also things that I had to like reevaluate in my business. And I'm like, what is life like? What am I doing here? Especially like when you're an entrepreneur. I feel
Yes.
like it has you questioning like, what am I doing? I could easily just do a 9 to 5, not have to worry about, paying someone for this, like figuring out payroll if you have that, hiring an assistant for this, hiring contractors, doing my taxes, doing my business paperwork. And
Right.
sometimes, it's like, what am I doing here? Right. But it's just like, feeling a little that overwhelm when it comes
Mhm.
to, did I bite off more than I can chew? And then when you have so many things going on, it's like, well, I'm just going to sit here and I'm just not going to do it, right? So there are some people who just feel stuck. Luckily for me, um of course I found my way out of it. I reevaluated some things. I cut the things that I didn't need to cut. I changed some things around and I was okay. And I love the start of a new year because I feel like the start of a new year, the start of a new month, the start of a new week, that gives you the chance to start over.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
what do you tell people that feel stuck?
So the first, and you really, hit a lot of it on the head. But the first thing, me, it's really important for me is I think a lot of times we don't give ourselves space to feel what we're feeling, and to sit with it. I'm feeling stuck. Acknowledge that. That's a real, like, part of that when I was talking about organizing your mindset, taking the judgment out. I feel stuck, and I honor the fact that right now I feel stuck. My health, because I think about what you're talking about. I'm a disabled vet. Well,
Mm.
I almost don't want to use that term because there's nothing, functionally wrong with me, but there's some things, right?
Right.
And so, sometimes I wake up and I say, wow, I'm really broken. I don't move like I used to. I can't
Mhm.
do, this, that. And then I just honor the fact that I feel like that. And then the first thing I do is I just think about all the things that I accomplish. And it could be on a daily, it could be what I've accomplished in a month, what I've accomplished in a year. Another one I like to use is what have I accomplished in life? A lot of people that I coach, I have them to just make a list of life accomplishments. It could be winning the spelling bee in third grade. Just make a list of them. List as many of them as you can remember so you can remember who you are and what you've done and what you've overcome and where you've come from. And then, the second thing is, once you feel it, once you remember who you are, you got to understand what you can do. Like when we opened up and I talked about how I didn't know if I was qualified to be on the show, with some of the guests that I saw. And then I look back at my resume. One of the things that we don't do, when we're sad or when something doesn't go our way, we let that marinate. Like we just marinate in it, man. We let that seasoning get all in us. But when we win, when we accomplish things, we may celebrate for a quick minute and then we move on to the next thing. Most of the time, we don't even celebrate. I looked on there, you have all these episodes, and, are you going to celebrate? Wow, most podcasts don't get past 3 episodes.
Mhm.
And have we taken time to celebrate that? Now, I know as a podcast host, I know what we do. We look at metrics like, I'm only getting about 10, 15 people to watch each episode. Somebody just posted on social media, they got 100,000 views in 3 days. And I'm like, I haven't got 100,000 views total. And we do all of that, but we don't celebrate the fact that we started something and most people get excited. They have a machine behind them and they go 2, 3 episodes and they're out. And here we
Mhm.
are showing up over and over again. So when you're stuck, give yourself grace, but you got to remember who you are, what you've accomplished, what you've done. Be your hype man. And I keep that list on my phone of accomplishments. The other day I was going through that. I was like, oh, wow, man, I was the MVP of football in ninth grade. And that was 35 years ago. But I celebrate me because you're an entrepreneur, you're showing up, you're making a positive impact, payroll, you're making positive impacts in other people's financial lives, so it's all these things that you do and how important you are. And sometimes you just got to remember who you are.
Okay, that's great. All right, so that brings me to the question of gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Practicing gratitude. How do you feel about practicing gratitude? Do you think that it has a positive effect on your mindset?
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, gratitude is essential. Like, I think, I was talking about grace and feeling what you feel, but gratitude is so this year, similar to you, I had, and I'm not trying to co-opt your your journey, but 2023 just wasn't what you expected to be. It was difficult. And I really was questioning, am I built for this? Do I have what it takes? And this year, some of the same issues have popped up, but I changed my mindset. I'm grateful. There's gratitude. I'm like, these opportunities are here. And sometimes opportunities are disguised as work and,
Mm.
having to get through things. But that gratitude, just just to stop and just say, I am grateful for all these things. Like, I think sometimes we forget the things that we have to be grateful for. So if we take a pause and just show some gratitude, we realize, you know what? My life is a lot better. My situation is a lot better. The outlook is a lot better. So instead of me complaining, I'm just going to be thankful. So no, it's essential. I think I would put gratitude like all the way up at the top of the list. Got to be grateful.
So, speaking of gratitude, the law of attraction. Is the law of
Mm-hmm.
attraction real? Do you think it's real? Whenever I read things about law of attraction, it's about practicing gratitude and being grateful for the things that you have and the things that you don't have yet. What are your thoughts on
Mm-hmm.
that?
So you asked me such a definitive question. I will say, in my opinion, the law of attraction is real. Being as they put an energetic match, a vibrational match, the law of attraction. When I reached out to you, I was like, yes, this is right. Then afterwards, I started having those self-defeating thoughts, but it was a match. So I was telling a story on social media. I met this speaker at an event and he was just amazing. And I was such a big fan. And after one of his speeches, he was just making a joke. He was like, yeah, if y'all ever want to talk to me, just give me a call. It was just something he was using. It was, just something you use in your speech to endear yourself to the people. Well, I was young. I was in my early 20s. He said, call him. I was going to call. A couple months later, I went and found the number, called, the receptionist answered. And I think I caught her off guard because she was like, "Who can you speak to? Who is this?" And I'm like, "This is Jon Singletary." And I think I just said it with so much confidence and like I was supposed to be there that she just patched me in. And I had a whole conversation,
I love it.
because that law of attraction, I was an energetic match to the thing that I wanted, and I just dropped an episode talking about sometimes what you don't know can help you,
Mm,
so so
mm.
absolutely. I do believe in the law of attraction.
I love that. I feel like when we're younger as well, we have
Yes.
more confidence, right? Because let me tell you, like I'm in my 40s now, but when I was like in my 20s, like I was so bold. Like I moved from Nebraska to Atlanta because I wanted to work at CNN. I didn't have a job at CNN yet, but I wanted to work at CNN. And
Hmm.
eventually I did. And of course, after a few years, I realized it wasn't for me, but I told myself at 22 years old, I want to work at CNN. I'm going to work at CNN. And I went and I did it, right? And like you said, it could be the maybe the ignorance of youth or
Yeah.
whatever, but I was so bold then. I feel like as we get older, we're more aware of the world. We have the experience. We've had our successes and our failures,
Right.
throughout life and everything. And then I feel like when you go through adversity, it makes it a little bit tougher to shift your mindset.
Right.
Like as we get older, we go through a lot. We're now losing people in life, right? Like as you get older, parents are dying, friends are
Yep.
dying,
Friends are dying. Yeah.
grandparents, things of that nature. And I feel like that can also kind of shift like your mindset as well. So when people are going through things, what how can they how can they have a positive outlook?
That's a great question. I've gone through some things. Like right now, I'm going through something because you said you in your 40s. I'm in my 40s, and I look so much older than you. So, like right now, I'm feeling away, but
Okay, I'm on the younger end of 40s.
I'm going through some things now. I'm at, nah.
And you look fine to me. So,
But you know,
the black don't crack. You got that nice salt and pepper beard going on. So,
right?
hey.
More salt than pepper for sure. I just woke up like this one day. No, but going through things. Now you said a lot. It's like as we get older, that's the thing with younger. We haven't experienced anything, so nobody's told us that it wouldn't work. So we're willing to try it. But as we get older, we've realized that we go through things that it's not going to work. That and so I am not a fan of the toxic positivity. I went through or grief is a lifelong process. So my son's mother passed, and it's almost been 6 years now. And there was some people that couldn't hold space for my grief. So they just be like, everything's gonna be all right, God's gonna take care of you, and this, that, and the other. But a lot of people didn't want to say it is okay for you to be broken right now because this is something painful.
Mm.
And so when people are going through things, I don't want to encourage people to just be positive, oh, life is good, things gonna work out eventually. Like, really understand what you're going through and feel it and respect it. Like, because that grief process, I've lost all of my grandparents, my mother is getting older. So when you talk about that, the mortality, lost friends, and some days that grief is just as significant as when it first happened. And we have to give space for that. So I would say, to remain positive, give yourself the permission to hurt, to miss, to cry, to grieve your situation, your people, whatever it is. The positivity will come knowing that, one, there was some good to it. One of the things that helps me is remembering all of the jokes and the great memories of my son's mother and the impact that she had. My friends, I remember the good times we had. It hurts that they're not here, but I know who they were, what we shared, what they poured into me, what they meant to me. And I feel like taking that forward, a part of them is with me. And so there's positivity and joy in going forward to know that I'm not going alone. The things that I accomplish and experience, this is us experiencing that because they're a part of my journey now too. But not just people, but things. Really, just give yourself that space to feel it. Like that toxic positivity of just, I don't want you to feel bad. And it comes from a place we love somebody, we don't want them to hurt, and we can't fix it. So we try to say stuff like, oh, you'll be okay. And look, it'll be over. But no, right now it sucks. Acknowledge that it sucks right now, but have courage to navigate that. And, moving forward, there'll be days that don't suck, you just have to have a strong belief that tomorrow is going to present opportunities for better days.
That's good. I love how you said that. Like, you don't have to be positive all the time. It's
Mhm.
okay to
Mhm.
sit and, and be sad. That's okay. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel what you're feeling.
Yes. We have to. If we don't feel what we're feeling, eventually the feelings are going to take us over. So might
Yeah.
as well deal with them where they are before they become big, strong monsters and they
Oh,
come and they
yeah.
block us.
Okay. So then, can you give me your top tips on organizing the mindset? So you taught us so much throughout this podcast already, but what would you want people to take away from this if they only take away just a couple of things? What should that be?
They only take away a couple of things. One of my biggest beliefs is that a lot of the limitations that we put, whether so we'll use organizing your mind. One of the biggest limitations that we have in doing that is that we place limits on ourselves. And one of my mentors, he said it, and it's so simple, it's so cliche-ish, but it hits. It is amazing what we can do when we take the limits off of ourselves. And you know, again, I talk about feeling what you feel, acknowledging what you sense as real in your life. But here's one of my favorite examples, and I use a lot of examples. I'm an analogy guy. That is my favorite way to communicate. But you know how when the lottery gets really big and everybody be like, oh, I'm gonna get a lottery ticket. So you start thinking about, I'm gonna get that lottery ticket, and you start imagining what you're going to buy if you
Mhm.
win. And you start thinking about your house or car or paying off all your debt or investing in your business, just all the things. And then as you keep thinking about it, it almost feels like you're right there. And that feeling builds up. I tell people all the time, with your limitations, what happens is we start imagining that better life that's in us. Like, everything that is created outside of us came from inside of us. So the lives that we live, the things that we have, it was a thought first. And it was something that we created out of our hustle, our effort, our ingenuity, our ideas, but we had to create it. So when we allow this thing that's within our heart to have time to simmer on the pot and really cook good instead of, because when I start thinking about my business being huge and me being a big economic driver and, speaking on stages and all of the amazing things that I imagined for it, I stop myself and be like, man, ain't nobody gonna pay you to do all that. But, in the book, Think and Grow Rich, they say that you can have these amazing things, but you have to decide what is it that you are going to give to the world for payment for you to have all this affluence. And I think all of us have something within us. So if we would focus on that, we would recognize that we can overcome the disorganization of our minds, the disorganization of our life, the disorganization of our finances, and we can go find the information, the tactics, the techniques, the tools, the people to put in our circle to change everything that's going on in our life. But we have to start with taking the limits off of ourselves. If I could say anything, take the limits off of yourself. Allow yourself to dream again. You said it great. When we were young, we felt free to dream. I'm moving to Atlanta because CNN is headquartered in Atlanta. I'm going there because nobody told you you couldn't. So
Right.
you were not going to tell yourself that you couldn't. And we tell ourselves that we can't. Nobody else is telling us this. We just tell it. Like there are people that see me and you and they think, I remember one of my coworkers, I was telling her about some of the struggles I was having with entrepreneurs. She said, I had to get off the phone. I said, why? She said, I just can't listen to you like this because in my mind, there's nothing that you can't do. We watched you move mountains when you were in the military. So in my mind, there's nothing impossible for you. So right now, I can't stand to listen to you talking about what you can't do. And I laughed, but it made me realize, I think I'm telling myself I can't. It's nobody else. So take the limits off of yourself, organize your mind, organize your future, and dominate. That's what I tell people.
All right. Take the limits off yourself. Okay. Take the limits off. I got to always say that to myself too now. Okay. Take the limits off. I
Yes,
love that. I
I say
love
it
it.
every day because, you start getting them self restraining thoughts. You take these limits off myself. I can do this. I haven't even tried and I've told myself no.
Right, right. Okay, great. Okay, I love that. All right, so switching gears just a little bit, one of my favorite things to ask everyone that comes
Okay.
here is what are your favorite organizing products or productivity tools?
Organizing products or productivity tools. So I'm a big I'm not as technical as you at it. I'm trying to do a little research, but I love like I got a whole bunch of them around here around me. Those little compartment boxes that you can stack on top of each other. 'Cause I'm really big on a place and space for everything. Like my mind works that way and my space works that way. And one of the funny stories is I'm originally from Texas. My last duty station before we got to DC, I'm in DC. Um, Before I was in Illinois, we had this huge space, man. I had a laundry room, I had extra closets in the hall and all this. Got to DC, I'm in Alexandria, right outside of DC. I wanted to live in the city. I
Mm.
wanted high rise living. Ain't no space in here. I don't have a laundry room. I had a laundry closet. I had to buy a little organizational thing. So my favorite thing of those little boxes are, my son has this longer closet, so half of it is his clothes because I got a lot of clothes in my closet. We're not doing that in my closet. So these little boxes and compartments where you can put out. I love that. I bought luggage that has them. So whenever I travel, because I don't like to check luggage, so it has all of the different compartments for your toiletries, for your supplements. You can put your undergarments here and there. I just love little compartments to organize that. And then for mine, I have an app. I forget the name of it, but it just reminds me to stop and be mindful. I think it's a mindfulness app or something like that. Because I move a lot and I don't take time. You ever been driving somewhere and don't even remember how you got there? You just know that you know how to get there and you don't remember where.
All
So
the time.
I have to slow down and notice the trees and the road and be
Mm,
really present because I'm always, what's next? And I need to focus on what's now. So I have an app that slows me down and allows me to be present in the moment because that is a weakness of mine to be
mm,
present right here in the
mm.
moment.
You need to share that app with me when you figure out what that is because I need that too. Because so many times I'm driving and I'm like, oh, I'm here already. Wait a minute, what what happened? I was like
Right.
zoned out, like on autopilot,
Mhm.
zoned out the entire time, and it's like, okay, I can't have this happen again. And then it happens
Absolutely.
again.
Absolutely.
Okay, but that's great. Okay, so now can you tell me what is your greatest professional achievement?
Mm. Um, my teams, honestly, I had a lot of personal stuff, but when I got into senior leadership, just watching my team succeed, I had a lot of people get promoted, win awards, and that's just always been, people got to realize. And so later on in my career, probably the last 10 years of my career, um, I was a fixer. So they would put me on teams that were failing, and I'd come in and turn those teams around. And, at the end, I was running the entire Air Force recruiting and turned it around. And we got in all kind of trouble, but I was really, and I had to fix it. So, but I was really proud of the fact that, people that I'd had the privilege to work with, were getting promotions and were being recognized for their hard work and were understanding what they had inside of them. So when I see them living a better life, not just military wise, but in their relationships and their families, having better relationships with their children. We were big on we got to give time back so people can have some kind of balance and all these things. Those are my proudest accomplishments. We had, the kind of resume builders, but my leadership ethos was always people first, people always, so it was always about the people. So that, and they still reach out to me. So that's one of the things. They still love me, even though I've been retired for almost 2 years now.
John, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your wisdom about mindset with us. I really appreciate it. Can you
Thank you for
tell
having me.
everyone, thank you. Can you tell everyone how they can find out more information about you?
Absolutely. All things Jon Singletary are at www.thehelpmyselfpodcast.com. That's where you can find the book. You can the podcast, all of my socials. You can contact me for coaching. Everything is there at www.thehelpmyselfpodcast.com.
Thank you all for joining us. Be sure to tune in next time for an all new episode.